The story begins in the dark clinical depths of a mysterious hospital in Eastern Europe, where we see a doctor carefully transporting a body to the incinerator following a failed secret experiment. His goal is to burn the evidence of their illegal work so nobody ever finds out what they were doing in this remote facility. But here's where everything goes horrifically wrong. Despite the body being clinically dead, it begins shaking and convulsing violently on the stretcher. Unaware that the subject is still showing signs of life, the lead doctor pushes the body into the furnace, leaves it to burn, and calmly returns to his duties as if nothing unusual happened. A short while later, a hospital cleaner is passing by the room when he hears a strange metallic scratching sound echoing from inside the furnace. Driven by a mix of confusion and curiosity, he opens the heavy iron door and peers into the flames to investigate. Suddenly, a charred, blackened, and burning hand lunges out of the fire and grips him tightly. This raises a chilling question that nobody in this hospital wants to answer. What kind of experiments are being conducted here that allow people to die and yet remain alive as monsters? The narrative shifts to a young couple named Allison and her boyfriend Michael, who are driving toward this same remote hospital in Eastern Europe. Traveling with them is Allison's controlling mother Sylvia, who constantly criticizes everything Michael does and treats him like he's worthless. The reason for their visit is a surgery offer they found online for an incredibly low price that seems too good to be true. In reality, both Allison and Sylvia have always felt deep insecurity because their breasts are larger than average size. Because of this physical feature, they have spent years being the target of jokes and ridicule from people around them who stare and make crude comments. Having finally found a cheap way to fix their problem, Allison and Sylvia are determined to undergo breast reduction surgery regardless of the risks involved. However, Michael is completely against the idea and keeps telling Allison she's perfect just the way she is. He believes Allison doesn't need to change anything about herself and repeatedly tells her that he has no problem with her size and loves her exactly as she is. As the trio continues their drive through a secluded area toward the hospital, a wild animal suddenly darts in front of their car, forcing Michael to slam on the brakes hard. Michael steps out of the vehicle to check on the injured creature lying on the road. He finds the animal lying there, mortally wounded and suffering in terrible pain. Realizing the creature will not survive and is in immense agony, Michael decides he must act mercifully and free it from its misery. But wait, here's where Michael's biggest weakness gets revealed in the worst possible way. Before Michael can do anything to help the suffering animal, another car speeds past them recklessly and runs directly over the creature, crushing it completely. Blood splatters everywhere, covering Michael's face and clothes in thick red liquid. Because Michael suffers from a severe phobia of blood, which is the very reason he was kicked out of medical school years ago, he immediately begins vomiting violently on the side of the road, unable to control his body's reaction. Sylvia, watching this display, is completely disgusted by his weakness and calls him a pathetic coward in front of everyone. This humiliating moment sets the tone for how Sylvia will treat Michael throughout their nightmare. Eventually, they reach the hospital and notice it is built very far from any city in a remote location. For strange reasons nobody bothers to explain to them. They have absolutely no idea that this is the exact same facility where the deadly experiments were being conducted just hours ago. Upon entering the shabby building, they are greeted by an attractive doctor named Janja who introduces them to her companion Daniel. Daniel is a handsome womanizer tasked with guiding them to their rooms, but his eyes keep wandering inappropriately to Allison's chest. As soon as Michael steps further into the hospital, the clinical environment and the faint smell of disinfectant mixed with blood make him feel dizzy again. Allison's mother Sylvia remains furious with him and openly mocks him for his weakness, calling him useless and embarrassing. In another part of the hospital, the lead surgeon Dr. K is treating a patient named William while boasting arrogantly. Dr. K tells William that his experimental procedures never fail and he's the best surgeon in Eastern Europe. Soon Dr. Janja introduces the trio to Dr. K, who is supposedly famous for these types of procedures. In a highly unprofessional manner, Dr. K begins checking Allison's body right in front of everyone to decide how much of her breast size to reduce, making her uncomfortable. Michael is deeply uncomfortable watching this happen, but he has come along only to prove to Allison that he will always support her no matter what she decides. He has a secret plan hidden in his pocket. Once Allison's operation is successfully completed, he intends to propose to her with an engagement ring he has brought with him. But what Michael doesn't realize yet is that proposing will be the least of his problems, because this hospital is hiding something far more dangerous than bad medical practice. While Allison and Michael are talking privately, Daniel arrives and informs them that Sylvia's operation has already begun, which means Allison is next in line for surgery. However, Michael's instincts are screaming at him that something is terribly wrong with this place. He realizes the hospital staff is acting very casually and unprofessionally. They aren't even performing standard medical tests on the patients before major surgery, which is extremely dangerous. To his absolute horror, Michael even spots one of the doctors drinking alcohol inside the facility right before a procedure. This confirms Michael's worst fears that this hospital is not following any proper medical protocols. Michael desperately begs Allison to reconsider and leave the hospital immediately, but Allison dismisses his concerns completely. She believes Michael just has a difficult, paranoid nature and is trying to ruin her chance at getting cheap surgery she's wanted for years. To prevent Michael from causing more trouble and scaring the patient, the doctors send Daniel to take Michael outside so he doesn't interfere with their important work. While they are outside smoking cigarettes, Daniel makes a shocking confession to Michael. He tells Michael he only took this job at the hospital because he can get free drugs here whenever he wants them. Michael realizes with growing dread that Daniel is a severe drug addict who has been hired without any medical qualifications or even a basic degree. Daniel then tells Michael to rest for a while and disappears back inside inside the hospital to get high on stolen medications. Left completely alone, Michael begins to hear muffled struggling voices and desperate cries coming from a nearby restricted room. He cautiously opens the heavy door and discovers a half-naked girl tied up in a horrific condition on an operating table. She is barely breathing and looks like she has been tortured for days during brutal experiments. Thinking he is helping save her life, Michael removes her oxygen mask, believing she needs fresh air. But the moment he does, the girl's eyes suddenly turn completely feral and wild. She lunges at Michael with animalistic aggression, trying to bite him directly with her teeth. Michael stumbles backward in shock, realizing that dangerous, illegal experiments are being performed on people in this hospital and something has gone terribly wrong. Michael runs straight to Allison's operating room, where she is being prepared for surgery lying on the table. He pleads desperately with her to leave immediately, explaining that he found a girl in a terrible condition downstairs who tried to attack him. However, Allison and the doctors think Michael is just making up dramatic stories out of fear and paranoia, trying to ruin everything. Allison is so embarrassed by his behavior that she insults him viciously in front of the entire medical staff. She calls him a pathetic fatso and says she regrets bringing such a coward to the hospital with her. The doctors also become angry at Michael's interruption, and they eventually walk out, refusing to do Allison's surgery because of the disruption. But here's where Allison's rejection of Michael becomes the worst decision of her life. Allison, in a blind rage, tells Michael he will never achieve anything in his pathetic life and threatens to leave him forever if he doesn't shut up. As Michael tries desperately to apologize and convince Allison to listen to him, total chaos suddenly erupts throughout the entire hospital. Doctors are frantically running through the blood-stained halls, trying to evacuate patients because strange people have turned into zombies and are viciously biting everyone they encounter. Anyone who is bitten turns into a violent zombie within minutes, and the deadly infection is spreading uncontrollably through every floor. As the panicked survivors run for the exits, Allison refuses to leave without finding her mother Sylvia first. Michael, proving his loyalty despite everything, decides to support Allison instead of saving himself and running away like everyone else. As they move carefully through the blood-stained hallways, they witness a horrific sight through a cracked door. A female zombie is disemboweling and eating a pregnant woman alive while the victim screams. These zombies are incredibly aggressive and driven only by an insatiable hunger for human flesh. The sight of the gore and intestines spilling out makes Michael's head spin violently again because of his blood phobia. Allison tells him harshly they have to stay focused or they will both die horrible deaths in this nightmare. Suddenly, without warning, a zombie attacks them violently from behind with its mouth wide open. Michael tries to be the hero Allison desperately wants and swings a heavy iron rod at the monster's head. However, in the intense struggle, Michael accidentally jams the metal rod into an electrical socket above a flickering light. Michael receives a massive electric shock that knocks him completely unconscious and leaves him bleeding from a deep head wound. Now alone with zombies approaching, Allison manages to kill the attacking zombie with a surgical tool and push its body out of the way. She looks down at Michael, noting that he is unconscious and badly injured, but she makes a heartbreaking decision. She cannot wait for Michael to wake up, so she leaves him bleeding on the floor and goes out desperately to find her mother Sylvia. She sees people screaming everywhere as the number of zombies grows exponentially with each passing minute. To defend herself, Allison finds flammable liquid and fills a dead patient's body with it before making it explode spectacularly. This kills the surrounding zombies in a massive fireball and allows her to slip away through the chaos. On another side of the building, two patients named William and Lena are trapped in a locked laboratory. They are too terrified to open the door for Allison, fearing she might be infected and turned into a zombie herself. Allison eventually finds her mother Sylvia, who is still unconscious from the anesthesia given during surgery. Allison quickly changes out of her hospital gown into her normal clothes and begins pushing her mother's hospital bed through the dangerous hallways. She witnesses zombies eating pieces of their own rotting flesh before they notice her and begin chasing after the bed. She eventually breaks desperately into a room where Daniel is hiding alone, doing drugs and getting high. Just then, a terrifying zombie appears from nowhere and bites Sylvia's arm deeply, drawing blood. Daniel manages to hit the zombie hard on the head with a fire extinguisher and kill it, but the terrible damage is already done to Sylvia. Michael finally wakes up after being unconscious for a dangerously long time on the floor. He realizes with a broken heart that Allison abandoned him to die, but he still worries deeply about her safety despite her cruelty. While searching desperately for her through the destroyed hospital, Michael accidentally knocks over a glass jar in a laboratory. This releases a mutated zombie reptile creature that looks absolutely terrifying and unnatural. Michael flees in terror and eventually runs into Dr. K and Dr. Janja, who are also trying to survive. Now a group of three, they search for the others and eventually find Allison and Daniel with the badly wounded Sylvia. Everyone gathers together in a surgeon's operating room for temporary safety. Michael is relieved to see Allison alive, but the mood is extremely dark and tense. The surgeon begins carefully bandaging Sylvia's wounds, completely unaware that they are zombie bites that will turn her. Daniel notices that all the phone lines are cut down, meaning they cannot call for any help from outside. When Dr. K examines Sylvia closely, he warns everyone that she will soon become a zombie and they must tie her up immediately to prevent her from attacking. During the violent struggle to restrain Sylvia, some of her infected blood accidentally falls on Dr. K's exposed skin. Dr. Janja suggests taking Sylvia to the pharmacy room to try different experimental medicines, hoping desperately to find an antidote that works. They manage to reach the pharmacy and quickly block the door with heavy equipment. Dr. K admits with shame that he actually invented this terrible virus during his experiments and frantically tries to find find a cure among the medicines, but fails completely. He eventually confesses that this entire nightmare was his and Dr. Janja's fault for playing God. Before he can name Janja as his partner in the crimes, she hits him violently on the head with a heavy object and kills him instantly. She lies to the others, claiming he was turning into a zombie because of the blood that fell on him earlier, doing this to hide her own involvement in creating the virus. But here's where the survival situation becomes absolutely desperate. Suddenly, Sylvia fully transforms into a flesh-eating zombie right in front of everyone and bites the surgeon's hand deeply. The surgeon, realizing he is now infected with the virus, quickly uses a surgical machine to cut off his own hand to stop the infection from spreading to the rest of his body, screaming in agony. Everyone realizes with horror that Sylvia is completely gone, and Michael is forced to kill zombie Sylvia with his own trembling hands to protect the group. As zombies swarm violently outside the pharmacy door, the survivors escape through a back exit and head desperately for the roof. They have to cross a dangerously thin iron rod to reach the next building for safety. Because the surgeon has only one hand remaining, he loses his balance and falls screaming to his death far below. The rest reach the building alive and arm themselves with whatever makeshift weapons they can find scattered around. Daniel blackmails Dr. Janja, revealing he knows she murdered Dr. K to hide her secret and demanding $100,000 for his silence. Meanwhile, Michael is deeply hurt seeing Allison acting close and flirtatious with Daniel after everything they've been through. They decide their best chance to escape is through a trash bin disposal system that leads outside the hospital. Michael tries to lead the way to prove he isn't a coward anymore, but he makes a critical mistake that angers the others and nearly gets them killed. They eventually find another survivor named Lena and manage to save her from zombies. Dr. Janja then sets an elaborate trap for Daniel by luring him to a dark room where she claims she will give him the blackmail money. Instead, she lures him directly to a zombie she placed there, which immediately bites Daniel's arm. In a rage, Daniel kills Janja brutally, but he hides his infected wounds so the others don't know he is turning into a monster. They finally reach the main gate and see the army has completely surrounded the hospital with tanks and soldiers. The army shoots Lena dead as soon as she steps outside, proving they won't let anyone escape alive to spread the infection. The last three survivors, Allison, Michael, and Daniel, flee desperately into the sewers beneath the hospital. In the dark sewer, Michael romantically proposes to Allison with the ring, hoping for one moment of peace and love. But here's the heartbreaking moment that destroys Michael completely. Allison refuses him directly and cruelly, calling him a pathetic coward she could never marry or have children with. While trying to open a heavy manhole cover to escape, an army truck parks directly on top of it, trapping Allison's fingers underneath the metal. Daniel runs away to save himself, abandoning them, but Michael stays despite Allison's rejection. To save her, Michael uses his glasses to help him bite through and sever Allison's trapped fingers, freeing her from the cover while she screams in pain. They find another hatch leading to the surface, and Allison climbs up first into the open air. Daniel tells Michael that zombies are coming fast from the tunnels, so Michael stays back to fight them off and buy time. As Michael tries desperately to climb up after the brutal fight, Daniel deliberately locks the hatch from above, leaving Michael below to be eaten alive. Daniel does this so he can have Allison for himself now that Michael is gone. Allison and Daniel escape together in a stolen car, but Allison soon realizes Daniel is infected when she sees his bite wound. He tries to force himself on her violently, but she kills him with a weapon and pushes his body out of the moving car. Then she runs him over with the vehicle, crushing him completely. Down in the dark sewers, Michael has somehow survived against impossible odds and detonates bombs he planted, which releases all the trapped zombies through the manholes and into the town, spreading the infection. Michael eventually crawls out of a manhole, covered in blood and gore, looking like a zombie himself. Allison, traumatized and unable to see clearly, thinks he is just another zombie and hits him with her car at full speed. When she realizes she just killed Michael, the only person who truly loved her unconditionally, she loses complete control of the vehicle. She crashes violently into a tree and dies instantly with tears in her eyes. Everyone is dead, and because the survivors broke the military quarantine, the zombie virus has now spread to the entire world, ending civilization. This dark ending shows that human stupidity and selfishness caused the apocalypse. With this, the story ends. If you liked this video, then subscribe to our channel and like the video.